And we are live. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 114. This is still insane to be at this number now, but hey, we're here and we're joined by a good friend. He is the game changer. He is Big Game Leroy. How's it going, brother? Good evening.
Oh, it is great to be on 114. We have come a long way. I'm trying to remember what episode number I was on. It was very early on, though. It had to
Well,
be.
it's actually, I think you've been on legit every podcast I've done. Because this is finally you're on Respect the Craft, but you were on both seasons of the Roundtable.
Yes.
You were on the other podcast I was doing on another network, and then finally we're here. We're finally got you on Respect the Craft. It takes me so long to get my actual friends on here. Like, it took me over 100 to get Gang going on here. It took me like 100 and something to get Adam on. It's like little by little I get my friends.
So, yeah, I was gonna say, well, Gang Going, you got him on as 100, so it was like it was a good one. So it's like cool. I'm on number 100. For me, it's like 114. I like it because it's like a random number, so I'll take it.
But no, I'm glad to finally have you on, brother. But how's it been? Well, before I get into all of that, before we get into all the other questions I do have to ask, I have to ask you this one. You heard the name of the podcast. Mm-hmm. It's called Respect the Craft. So when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean to you?
Oh, to me, respect the craft. When I hear that, oh man, it's weird because I feel like I've been in wrestling for like a lot longer than I look. Like I still give off this kid exterior and this kid like thing, and I got a little bit of stubble, a little bit of whatever, a little bit of grizzleness here. But like, I just think about like back in the days when I was just like doing the wrestling, training nonstop, 4 or 5 days a week, not worrying about matches, not worrying about clout, just kind of just doing it because I love the activity of wrestling. I feel like so many people in wrestling now, and it's not to sound mean or disparaging, and I mean this is like to put over the people who really like love wrestling. Like how many people just love physically hitting the ropes, physically being in a ring, rolling, doing the different stuff. Like that's what I love. Like I'll see a wrestling ring and I'll be having the worst day, and like I'm just like, oh, this is it. This is awesome. I'm good. I got my ring here. I can do anything. Everything's right.
There you go. And again, no, that's another reason why I wanted to have you on, because especially just from conversations we have, you have that genuine love for it. Like, again, no matter what happens, like anything could be going on. It's like once you're around the atmosphere, it's like, here we go. We're back in it. It's time to enjoy it. But here we go. We got Matt Awesome already commenting here.
Oh, Matt Awesome. That's the homie.
Hey, what's up, Edmund? There you go. He says he'll see you next week. Definitely. We'll be talking about that show in a little bit. So
absolutely.
Definitely
man, I love seeing Pete Rosado back in my day. His day is like 2012. He's actually right though. That is back in my day. Like,
it has been some time now. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
hey, Pete, you are a friend. You've been on too many times now. Oh man. Pete, you are a friend. It's just you've been on so many times that it's like I'm finally now counting the solo episodes here. Yeah. But here we go. We got our good buddies Wes and Kyle in the chat. Thank you guys for coming in, and I hope you guys enjoy.
My love to the family. I love Wes and Kyle. They're always good to me. They're always showing love.
And here we go. We got our good buddy Steve in the chat. Shout out to Steve. SRG.
Yeah, SRG. I love those dudes. They put me on a trading card. It's sick.
That's insane. And they're still going too. Like SRG is going strong. Always support them. Always great. Here we go. Let's see. What is Matt saying here? I can say me and Leroy had a ball in the ring in June for Invictus. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Just please, Leroy, kick Bougie in the mouth for me.
Oh, yes. I got a lot. I mean, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I got a lot of stuff to say about my next two matches. They're both very personal for me in different ways,
Oh, wait, there we go. Now I'm seeing the comment you talked about with Pete back in my. Well, it is because it's been a while. Like every time even when we hang out with our group, it's like, yeah, we've been around this for a while now.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just this is like last year. No, this has been a good almost a decade now. Just doing all this. Like
it's really cool to me because like, and I was saying this to, it's nuts that I can't even say this, but I was saying this to like some of my T2T students where I'm like, yo, the people who like were the kids just hanging around wrestling, they're the ones running companies, they're the ones running podcasts, they're the ones at shows working, doing managers, doing commentary. Yes. Putting you
Thanks.
over.
Just saying everything I do now. Like
hey, listen. It took a lot to run social medias, all right? You were the only one actually spell checking, all right? Like just a quick little, like they give you the red lines. Like, come on. I don't
Well,
know our posts.
it
We
only took us like
grammar
6
errors.
minutes, and we already some funny shots there. Jesus. Um, but no, and here we go. We got our good friends from the Knucklehead Network. What's up,
Oh
Toe? Check those
yes,
guys
good
out as well.
dudes.
But let's talk about that because even
Mhm.
as we're talking about all this, it's still insane to me that that's also a thing. You have your own little batch of students as well. So how has that been for you now getting to? Because we just had a coach yesterday. We had Jorge Santi, and I got to hear his mindset on teaching the next crop. How has that been for you getting to now have that influence over them and be able to teach the things you've learned throughout your career so far?
So for me, it's kind of like I've always kind of wanted to like be the like I wanted to teach in a way that I would have wanted to teach myself, where like, but at the same time, I also wanted to make sure people, because you're gonna get a lot quicker now. Like every generation, you get a little bit easier, and I'm always aware of that. Like I like to think I'm self aware. Like it's easier to make it as a wrestler in 2023 than it was in 2002, than 96, the 80s, like it's always supposed to be easier to break in. That's just the way our world works now. So I want to make sure that when these students go out and when my kids go out, they're paying the respect. They're doing things for the right reasons, not just because it's cool and not just because it's a fad, but because they actually love wrestling and it's actually adding to the sport. Something I used to try to say, I think I said it on Twitter once, maybe I said it in a TTT class, but I've said it to at least a lot of close friends of mine where I've like been like, hey, making it isn't just about eating at the table. It's about bringing something to the table. So it's like, hey, if I got signed tomorrow, cool. I get, a house. I get to buy my mom a house. I get to like be on TV. But what can I bring to TV? Or am I just gonna go sit and hang out on catering? Which, by the way, there's no judgments, there's no whatever. It's like there's no diss on that. It's like, but like I want to bring something to the table. I want to make sure that I'm actually using the platform to my advantage and I'm bringing something. That's kind of how I've been training the indies lately, like the companies that use me and highlight me and showcase me, because I'm like, hey, all right, cool. So it's on me to now like take this platform that you're giving me and not just give you a good match, but like really bring something more to this. Like, hey, what kind of story can I tell? What kind of situation can I put myself in? What kind of situation can I put someone else in? Can I help someone else get it? Can I create a moment that you'll remember? And like that's my mentality, and that's what I try to tell my kids. I'll be like, hey, cool, you can have a good match now. You're that kind of wrestler now, but can you make people remember it? Because in this day and age, it's funny. I was watching the Sami Zayn podcast recently, and he literally said everybody's an amazing wrestler. Like literally, like this, everybody's good on some level. Everybody's got something they bring to the table, and now it's like, okay, how do you stand out for that? Do something memorable, be remembered. That doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean having the best match, but just doing something to stand out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I want people to take away from this little rant.
No, and it definitely is something I hope, again, anyone listening that is even interested in getting in the business or being that are in the business and maybe they're still coming up. It is that thing to learn to try to make yourself stand out, network yourself, that you're seen. Because I feel
Mhm.
like that's the lost art now. That's just, oh, once I trained once, that's it. I'm ready to go. Once I
Mhm.
got that, oh yeah, I graduated. It's like you should still be putting in that love for the craft. Make sure you're developing something that's like now you have to be seen. It's
Yeah.
one of those, and again, that's something I always commend you, that even with the game changer gimmick, with big game, that evolution you went through, you found something that's like people now want to see it. You went
Mm.
viral with those clips, but it wasn't just a time and day thing. It was something you put your craft into, and you found something. Hey, this sticks. This makes people want to come and see it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's funny that you say that because my favorite thing about the viral clip is always like, oh, people just thought, oh, this kid just came out of nowhere. He just started wrestling. I'm like, no, I've been wrestling for like, I went viral after wrestling for like 6 years.
yeah,
Like,
and that's the funny thing about the business, that it's like a lot of people, they think that's it. It's like, oh, okay, it just needs one clip. It's like, no, this
no, I still
took
got to wrestle next
years of.
week.
See, like
Like,
even Steve says it here, and again, it's perfect how it is. When
mhm.
you were the cash flow ref into now,
Yes.
there's a whole evolution there. That is a whole just different timeline that we get to now. Again, the game
Wow.
changer. It's a whole evolution there.
No, it's
So
it's so wild to me because like I've said this many times, and like I couldn't write a better debut and a better start in wrestling if I could. Like, and a lot of it wasn't like, like I promise guys, I'm not breaking the fourth wall. I'm not doing anything crazy, but like so much of it was like luck, timing, situation, like cash flow breaking up the way it did, it becoming about Maddie and Ken and me and Maddie and Ken and the way that went down. Like so much of that was just luck, just kind of situation, but then also like, oh, there's something there with those three. There's some chemistry there. Like, them beating the crap out of me, but like there was something there. The reactions, you can't argue with stuff like that. And one of the proudest moments I had last year was me and Ken are in the ring, and like we haven't like interacted in a ring like in years. And we had a singles match, and like people are like, yo, like they're like, we have waited like 5 years to see this, because and I'm like, what?
And it shows it made that impact though. Again, moments like that, as much as people are like, you don't get the instant just, oh, that pop. It's like, but watch how it resonates. There's always those moments. You never know who's watching, and you never know who, again, remembers those little moments. And once it happens again, it's like, I remember when this was happening. Oh shit, it's happening again. Mm-hmm. And that's the greatest reaction you could get.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and it was crazy. The end of the match, you hear the and Pete, yeah, he was calling it, and it's one of the more prouder matches I've had, because me and Ken, definitely we have this I want to say unspoken chemistry, because it's obvious. I have my start in wrestling because I can. It's not a secret, and I think it's really cool that our stories are intertwined in such a way. Like, it's just, and then like, whenever we meet in the ring, there's just going to be a little bit of magic. There's going to be a little something to it, he got me a little emotional after the match, because the first thing, one of the things he said is, damn, Maddie would have liked that match. And I was like, I was like, of course, we beat the crap out of each other. Maddie would have loved that. Yo, bro guy. Yo, Leroy. Yo, you fucking up. Yeah. And then we just start laughing. He's like, yo, I'm gonna fuck him up too. I
was gonna say, Maddie would have been like, yo, I'm next. That's it. Oh man. Yo, no, but and again, and that's what I love about it, that it is those moments. And again, I was one of the last things we spoke about when I had you on Roundtable was just Maddie's, just him as a person, just what it meant and what it did. And that was another story that definitely developed into what Big Game became, getting to see that, doing those moments, and just, again, doing what he wanted as well. It's just, we're all making it in our own way. That was the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Thanks, Pete.
I agree. I know he definitely would have. And again, I can imagine he would have loved seeing again what Big Game is becoming, the group is becoming. So that's always the biggest thing. But here we go. Let me ask this question here. I didn't want to leave Weston Kyle out. So let's see. Who's the guy or lady you would like to work with that you haven't yet?
I feel like I really want to keep diving into intergender a little bit more. Obviously it's a little pipe dream. I got some people listening, but I want to go at it with Trisha Dora, man. That Pan African title, man. I want it, and she's been having it for like a million years, and she's world traveled. She's decorated, one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I'm just like, listen, she's got this thing with no punches to the face. That's cool. I'm game to try to out wrestle her any day of the week. So listen.
For some reason, I thought you were just gonna throw like, no, I'm still gonna punch you in the face for some reason.
No.
I was like, damn, Leroy's a heel. That's it. We lost babyface Leroy. He's going straight for the punch.
No. Maybe to the ribs. Just
there you
go. Kidney punch.
Kidney punches will be thrown. There you go. And of course, Pete is just eye emoji.
Yes,
there you go, Pete. There's an idea.
Listen. She's got to come up to the Northeast and defend that title. Listen, in DC, it feels like they're kind of giving it to her pretty easy, but she's gonna have to try to, defend it against us. I think she's against Darius Carter, which, he's got to take credit for. But it's just kind of like, why? What's going on? Like, come on, Trish. That's just
I was gonna say, she's been here a few times. Shout out to the good friends at Battle Club. She's been there, but she's never defending her championship. It's usually going for a championship there. So hey, again, if she's up here in the tri-state, why not? Someone book this match here. But here we go. I gotta put this there. I knew Will will comment that. Cold Shade saying, how about Ahmed Johnson? I don't know if he still works though.
Ahmed Johnson. I mean, I'd be down. Listen, if he could go, he could go. Listen,
I just saw yesterday for the first time, I think in ever, he's coming to the Northeast for a signing. So hey, if a promoter wants to book it while he's in the area, he'll be here in March. So someone
oh
booked Big
wow.
Game
I
Leroy
mean,
versus
listen,
Ahmed Johnson.
yeah. Oh,
Uh
I see this human
let's see.
tornado. Oh,
He's someone that definitely I feel like he's in. I feel bad that he's like an unsung hero. Like he was one of the guys in the West Coast era that you kind of don't hear about as much anymore. Like you hear the B boys, you hear about that era of
yeah.
the West Coast,
He's
and
definitely a
you don't hear humans.
PWG like legend to me.
Yeah,
Like cuz he's like when I first started watching, like he was one of the first names that like popped up
yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, sick."
He was different. He definitely brought a different style to it.
Mhm.
It's always the funniest because you remember him from PWG or you saw him in Nacho Libre. It's one of the two. It's
Yeah.
like let's see where the fandom is. Either you saw him here, or you saw him there. But no, that would be something. Well, Pete, again, get a connection to the human tornado and bring him. There you go. Let's before we get to matches, I know
Yes.
Pete's waiting for it to start talking. Let's talk about this right here, and just
Ah, there it
the
is.
insanity of this. Because this was something even when I first saw it, I shed a tear a little bit because this was insane to see. Because especially with the craft, it's always insane to see the list come out, and it's always one of those that it's like, okay, cool, we've seen this person around, we see this, but when it's someone close, it's always cool to see them make it on that list. So
Mhm,
making it on the PWI, how was that, brother? How did that feel to get your name involved with just that list of amazing talent right there?
mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just I honestly cried a little bit because it's like a real life thing. Like you're in a magazine that like anybody could just buy or anybody could buy whenever. And it's just nuts to me because it's like, yo, like that's really freaking cool. Like I obviously ended up getting a copy for myself and I'm like, listen, like this is something you keep forever. And God forbid something happens or whatever. Life is short as we know, but like that doesn't go away. That's just there forever. I was in PWI for that year for like forever, you know? And like that's just one of the coolest things for me. And I just like it was a goal for sure. I'm very much this kind of person who's just very like uh oh man, I didn't make it. What does this mean about me? Am I a failure? Am I this and that? Then you see some of the people who make it and you're like, I don't know. And not in a diss way. Like I'm very um I try my best to navigate wrestling without too much ego, without too much like, I'm amazing and I'm the best wrestler ever. Like it's very self-aware and it's like, but then I'll look at people and be like, okay, I put myself on this level. And I look at this wrestler on this level. But then when I see PWI do this, I'm like, I disagree. I don't know about that. I don't know if they've done the things that I've done. I don't know if they've been to the places I've been. I don't know if they've accomplished the things I've accomplished. You know, ooh, this is a good segue. I got you. Ooh. I mean, listen, we got Jay Bougie, Mr. PWI 485.
There we go.
And
So let's
listen,
let's get into that. Let's go into the perfect segue. I know Alex is definitely listening as well because he kept sharing it around. So thank you for that, Alex. But here we go. Let's get into it. Invictus is presenting the Get Down live next Friday. Actually, we're almost a week away. We're getting closer to it. So
mm,
let's talk about this. It's going to be the Get Down in a cheat code match. So I'm
yep.
still trying to understand truly what this means, but Jay Bougie's definitely just been going on and on about you though. He's not a big fan of yours for some reason. I don't get why. Usually you're beloved to a lot of people, so I don't get what is this just I don't get it. So
I don't
tell us a
get it
little bit here
either.
about what's happening
Yeah,
at the Get Down.
listen. Jay Bougie is one of those guys from high school that has a bark way bigger than his bite. And listen, Jay Bougie, he's gotten. I've had a lot of respect for Jay Bougie because to me, he's a guy that when I first heard about him, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Jay Bougie, man, yeah, that Jay Bougie, he's like this way." And then I met him, and I'm like, "Oh, this dude's cool. This dude's the thing about him, he's a hustler. He has to talk up everything he does so you can get eyes on him." And I thought I like guys like that because I'm like, oh, he's gonna make sure everything he does is loud. He's gonna make sure everything he does is obnoxious, but he's gonna make sure you're paying attention. He's gonna make sure you hear him. And I was like, I got a lot of respect for that. But lately, he's been on this anti-Invictus crusade. He's been all up in the face of the promoter. He's been all up like this and that. And listen,
Yeah, I was gonna
Invictus is
say
one of my homes.
I thought he was gone at one point. I
He
was like,
he was gone, and he was upset. And listen, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't care if I'm firing off the hip. Invictus allows him to book a whole show. He gets to call his shot. Gets to wrestle TV a Ring of Honor faction in his own show. And he's still, and then 2 months later, he must be mad. Oh, they never see nothing in me. They don't do nothing for me. Listen, bro, you booked yourself in a high profile match, and still people are talking about Big Game Leroy and Ken Broadway being the best match of that show. How on your own show you're not the most talked about match on your show? So, and that's the problem with Jay Bougie, is that's what bothers him. He's not even the most important character in his own story. He's not even the most important person in his own narrative. Jay Bougie, I want to have respect for him because he's talented. This dude talks it up and he backs it up. But listen, it's a cheat code match, which means anything goes. And literally anything I can think of is fair game. And this whole game, I'm the player one. Jay Bougie, I would call him a boss battle, but he feels more like an NPC because he just keeps talking and I keep matching A to go right past that talking.
there you go. And no, and that's all I've seen has been that. It's been a constant just talking and talking. And then even if I'm not mistaken, at one of the last Invictus shows, just attacking you from behind, not even giving the decency of, hey, in the ring, you were there. You're ready to go.
Yeah,
But
listen, that's how he is. It's sneak attacks, it's shortcuts. And I'm just like, listen, you're gonna do shortcuts, you're gonna do sneak attacks. It's a cheat code match. Bring your biggest cheat code, bring whatever crazy handicap you got, bring whatever weapon. I don't care. Like, I just want to go. I just want to know who's better, Big Game Lee or Jay Bougie. And if I win, he's out of Invictus for good. So I'm motivated. I'm looking forward into that match. And I'm like, listen, like, I don't know why this has gotten so personal, but like, I don't care. Like, you're in my home, you're disrespecting the home, you're just saying this, and that. And I'm like, listen, Invictus gave you your spot. Invictus, We Are Wrestling, companies like that, they gave you the opportunity when people were like, yeah, Jay Bougie, you really shouldn't use a guy like that. And Pete is a very nice man. He's not going to say it, but I got to say it. Alex is going to definitely say it, but it's the truth. So it's like, yo, it's either put up or shut up. Listen, you got all this baggage, you got your whole crew, you got all this and that. Listen, man.
maybe that's why he's mad, because we talked about it earlier. It's no secret. You also came from a group. Cash flow was a thing, that was something, but you became the breakout star. And now it's not a thing of, oh yeah, that's Leroy. He was from Cash Flow. No, it's Big Game Leroy. Now that's the conversation. With Jay Bougie, and I know he's gonna get mad at me for saying this, but my apologies. You still hear the, oh yeah, he was one of those guys from the takeover. And the takeover is still brought up over and over again.
Listen, he's not even my third favorite member from the takeover. I got PJ Savage up top, and Face is really cool. So, maybe he's three. Even then, maybe I won't even make him three. But I'm just saying, listen, he's definitely not even close to my favorite of the faction.
All I'm saying is, usually at least Face is doing his work solo. Jay Bougie usually needs someone around him. Like, he had Face have to try to attack Gangone in their feud. He couldn't even handle his own work. So it's like, this guy doesn't know how to do it one-on-one.
Always trying to weasel his way out of stuff. That's why I got no respect for that. Listen, he could talk about his PWI. He could talk about this and that. He could talk about his beef with Invictus and how he doesn't want to be a part of it, but then he does want to be a part of it. And this and that. Listen, like, no, bro, you don't got to be here. You don't got to be here.
I still don't get that, because I think that's the stipulation as well. If he loses, he's gone. But if he wins, he wants a part of the ladder match for a future championship match. It's like, wait.
So he wants to be here. Listen, he got to get his feelings in order. He's a little butthurt, but he's got to get his feelings in order.
I guess. But hey, again, this is a win for you here that you need, especially to get back in that title picture. I can imagine you want to go back for that social media championship. You want to get back in title contention and do bigger and better things in Invictus.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
And also, again, do the work that Invictus management needs, because I can imagine they want to get rid of this Bougie problem here with the social media banter that just continues on and on. But one final question, then we'll move on to another matchup you have coming up.
Yes.
Will this be the time we get to see the return of the GameCube possibly? That
Yeah.
you had gone a little hardcore when you need to with some systems. So
Yes. So I'm not gonna give Jay Bougie because listen, Jay Bougie likes to act like he's better than this, but Jay Bougie's always watching. So I will say this: anything you can imagine that I would play, that I would bring, oh, I'm bringing it and then some. I think it's safe to say the GameCube will be there and be in action.
there you go.
What might be playing in that GameCube? We
Ooh,
don't know. Nikolai, that's my
there
guy.
we go. We got the Renaissance himself, Nikolai White. What's up, brother?
That's the
How's
homie.
it
That's the
going, man?
homie. He's gonna be doing some big things.
He's
I
got a
love
busy weekend next weekend. He's got a show next
Nikolai.
week with
Listen,
Invictus.
that
He's
homie
doing a lot of
he
things.
makes me so happy, man. I get so happy seeing Nikolai doing well. Keep this man well fed. Don't need to keep him hydrated because he's already drinking water.
Oh yeah, say again. I hope he's happy. I'm drinking a lot of water here. But let's now go to this because I know Pete is just like, get to my match, get to my. So let's talk about this because this is
I'm saving the
also
best for last.
it's a huge matchup here. So let's get to it. There can only be one Friday, March the 10th. Pete will also be coming on soon. We're going to be doing a full preview, so we'll get to hear from Pete about your matchup. But let's get your take on this matchup right here. It is a Grand Championship Tournament matchup. It's to determine the very first champion in We Are Wrestling here. And you're going head to head with a bona fide legend of the tri-state area. He is a Ring of Honor original. He is the Bayonne badass, the Boricua badass, Danny fucking Moff. And as a friend, I have to ask the question, why would you want to go in there with Moff? even going to you asked Dio Mac, how can I get to this guy? I want to face him one-on-one, and I'm just like,
Ray, you should know me better than this, man. I this is the thing that's kind of like it's not upsetting me, but it's bothering me. It's very much bothering me. No cursing. Smiley, no cursing.
I was gonna say I don't think we cursed, but okay.
Yeah, I
Hey,
said
Smiley
crap
will
a few
also be on
times.
the he'll be on the podcast at 9 p.m. with the full Project Mayhem family. So stay tuned to that, everyone.
Ooh,
But
nice.
back to Moff here.
Yes,
And
to Moff. So listen, my whole thing with this is I'm on something of a journey for myself. I'm very much in the mindset of this is like, you know, if I and to put it in terms that like, isn't gonna surprise anybody. If you beat a video game on easy mode, what does that do for you? I would argue it's not even really fun. There's no challenge, there's no nothing in that. Versus put the difficulty up a little bit. Maybe you decide you're gonna speed run it. You're looking for a world record. Maybe you decide that you're gonna not use any special equipment. You're gonna leave everything to the side. You're just gonna go mano a mano with some of the big boss battles of the game. So for me, it's sort of like that. And let me paint the picture now for wrestling. Change it from games to wrestling because that's what I do. Dan Moff. Moff is one of the most dangerous men in all of wrestling. I when you say tri-state legend, I'm like, you take tri-state out of that, you say indie legend. Like that's how I feel.
no, sure, definitely so. But again, I want to make sure
No,
just
no,
because
for
I
sure,
know
for
that
sure.
also that's has been his impact there is making it this is his town. When you think of
No, for sure.
especially NYC wrestling, when you think of especially doing it
Yes.
here in New York, you think of guys like Dan Moff. You think of the history of what he did, but especially just a legend in general. But continue here.
Yeah, and that generation didn't get love. They had moves stolen from them. They had character stolen from them. They had so much taken from them, and no one gave back. And my thing is, I actually see this as a show of respect because I didn't wait for Pete to make the bracket. I was like, no, I want the baddest person in this locker room, the baddest person in this company, and that's Dan Moff. Why am I gonna hide? Why? Like, I'm not doing that. So what? Like, I was just gonna take an easy win in the first round, hope that I don't see him in the second or third round. Like, no, I'm not doing that. No, give me the biggest and the baddest because then when I beat him and I win that title, there is no doubt that I deserved it, that I earned it. There's no, oh man, but yo, if Leroy saw Darius Carter, and there's none of that. It's like, oh nah, big game Leroy went through Dan Moff. You can't, that's his title. This is his tournament. Yo, Big Game Leroy called his shot and delivered. Big Game Leroy got the controller in his hand. He said, "Boss battle, no more lives," and he did the deal. And that's where my headspace is at. And listen, like I'm not dumb. Obviously, I know how talented he is. I know I know the size difference. I know the strength difference. I know the experience difference. I know what he's done. I'm very, very well aware of what he's done, who he's done it against, and how long he's been doing it. But my thing is, he doesn't know a damn thing about me. And that's my advantage. He's never wrestled anybody like me. And the scary thing about me is, yes, I'm Big Game Leroy. You don't know when the games start, when the games end, when the match starts, when the match ends. I'm a mix of the two. And most of the time, I come out on top against some of the best around. But at the same time, there's a part of me that was cut from the same cloth that he's cut from. When you look into my lineage, and I won't say too much, when you look into my lineage, I'm cut from the same background that he came from. We know who trained me. You know where I came from. That is not an environment that is for the faint of heart. That is not an environment that you can just smile your way through. You earn it through blood. You earn it through punishment. And I earned my way through that. I earned my place in wrestling. And I'm happy to do it again. I got something to prove. And like I said, yeah, I can win the We Are Wrestling Championship, and I can the Grand Championship, and I could cement myself and be like, I'm the top guy here. Or I can show you that I'm the top guy here. I can show you who I really am. And listen, like it's starting to piss me off a little bit because like I'm trying to get at him. And we're saying this and that about Dan Moff, and he's this way, he's that way, he's intimidating, and blah blah blah. And it's a whole thing. But my whole thing is, listen, Dan Moff is ducking me right now. I called him out at the show. I told Mac, hey, where he at? Still nothing. So the question shouldn't be, Leroy, why aren't you scared of Dan Moff? What's your headspace going into this match? And I say this to everybody watching. I'm saying this. I want Pete to splice this and throw it onto everything. Send it right to him. I don't care if it's an email or whatever, or pigeon carrier, whatever that dude uses now to contact people. If he's such a monster, why won't he show up? If I'm such an easy win for him, why won't he show up? Why can't he respond? I think he's a little scared himself. I think there's something going on there too. Listen, I can't because I don't know. I'm wondering myself too. I used to watch him chuck people into walls with no sense of care, no sense of whatever. And listen, I know what I signed up for. I know who Dan Moff is, but does he know who I am? Does he know what I'm about?
I believe I'll be seeing Dan Moff before March the 10th. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna see if I try to get an answer from him. See what's happening here. Is he gonna show up? Because that is true. That is something we even put out there. Will Dan Moff show up for the championship tournament? Because maybe there is something. Maybe he saw, because you have gone against guys from that lineage. You have gone against another member of DHS. You've gone against the likes of Low Key. And you went toe-to-toe with a man like Low Key. That is a guy, another one, when people say, are you sure you want to face a guy like that? A bona fide mercenary and Low Key. And you went toe-to-toe, not even just in the ring, but you got him to go switch to switch.
Yeah, listen, so that's what I'm about. And it's about going against the old generation. I'm not ducking the vets. I'm not ducking our vets. I'm not ducking the old generation. I'm not going to disrespect them and act like I'm above seeing them in the ring. No, I want the vets who look at me away and be like, wouldn't live in my era. Actually, I disagree. I would have made it in your era too. Listen, I would have gotten I would have gotten my ass kicked. Like sorry, Smiley, but I would have gotten my ass kicked, but I would have survived. I wouldn't have given up. Listen, the era isn't about are you dead? Like, no, it's about will you keep going? When you get knocked down, when someone makes you taste your own blood, when someone tosses you against a wall, when someone's dumped you on your head off the top of a rope, will you keep going? And for me, it's always yes. This game never ends for me. Never ends.
No, it definitely, again, and I feel like that's the biggest thing when it comes to it is having that heart with it. And I feel like that's what a lot of, especially that generation, that's what it was about. It was having that heart, having that determination to keep going in a craft where, especially at that time, it wasn't as just, hey, happy go lucky as it is now at times.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely more of that fighter style. Hey, Zach says it there. That fighting spirit. There you go.
Listen,
There you
listen.
go. So
I'm just
definitely
trying.
that's something we're waiting to see. But hold on one sec, because I feel like we have another special guest here, but I'm looking at here, his camera's not showing up. So just give me one second, folks. Technical difficulties here on another very special guest. But
Oh.
before we go to that, let's also talk about that evolution of yours. How has that been for you, that leveling up, if you will? How has that process been for you, especially when you go into matches like this?
So for me, the leveling up has always been something where I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm also doing service to myself, where I'm staying authentic, where I'm not just going, all right, cool, I'm gonna mean mug and put a middle finger up and have that as be my promo graphic. Like I want to still be me. I want to still be authentic. I want to be original. And at the same time, there's people who like me, who've liked me since I was a ref in a green cashless shirt. There's people who liked me when I was Lucky Leroy. There was people who liked me when I was this unbreakable underdog, where, before the video games, and the transition out to the Switch Kid, and the transition out to the Game Changer. And for me, it's like, I just want to be authentic. I want to make sure that everybody who's been in every step of the journey don't feel like there's a disconnect, where they go, oh, I've seen all of this. I get it. It kind of makes sense. And that's also why I say all of this story, my start in wrestling, because it's all connected. And I connected myself, and I'm like, no, everything I do makes sense. Listen, the video game things were there. My the last man standing match I had with Ken, I used the GameCube. And for me, that was the light bulb effect of, oh yeah, this is who I am. I would bring a GameCube to a fight. That's what I do. The handle's there for a reason. Duh. Like,
Yeah, there was something there. It was always like it wasn't just it was one of those that there was that gradual progression. And I feel like that was the best thing, because as the fandom grew with you, it grew that like, okay, yeah, you could start seeing more elements implemented into just the moves you were doing, into even the gear. Like,
yeah,
hey, one of the last gears you got done is based off this right here, the PS5.
yeah.
Like it
PS5.
like,
Play has no limits.
but no, and again, that's always been great seeing that, getting to see that progression and see how you've evolved into this for now, especially for matches like this, for even just where you're going. Again, with the experience you've gotten as well. Because again, it's no small task getting to do the things you've done, being on Dark, being featured on
Yeah.
Evolve. But you can
Yeah.
still see it. I believe it's still on Peacock as well. So go check that out.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Like,
gonna say, I mean, I don't have a Peacock account, so I'm gonna take y'all word for it. Please, if you see it, let me know, because it was definitely on the network.
Yeah. No, I think
And
it's still on there, because there's still certain
right, like
Evolve
in
shows
different
are on there.
areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
one of those, sadly, that it's like it's just not one whole category. It's like you'll find it eventually. It's there.
yeah,
But you just gotta be like, oh yeah, it's episode this number, yeah. But it's somewhere on there. We'll link what number it is in the description down below for you guys. But even that, like, how when you see moments like that and you continue with the experiences, how has that been for you continuing the ride, being like, hey, this has been what I'm doing now. Like, I've gotten this moment, I've done this, and it's just truly the beginning here.
It's funny to me, because I feel like that, like, all the time, to be honest. I'm very grateful, and I do my best to make sure I mention this, because I also like to put good juju out into the universe. But I'm grateful, and I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, it's really cool. I get to be this pro wrestler that I wanted to be a pro wrestler for most of my life. And for most of my life, I thought it was impossible. I didn't think I could do it, and I'm doing it, and I get to do it at what I believe and what enough cool people think is a high level. I've been able to compete with TV talent. I've been able to beat said TV talent. I've been able to be in the ring with some people that I watched on TV when I was a kid, people that I watched nonstop on the internet, like PWG videos, YouTube videos, wild, like, daily motion videos, just illegal streams, just to watch them perform till like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., being inspired. And now I get to be in the ring with my inspirations. I get to inspire others. So many of my kids at T2T, they would be like, yo, I watched you wrestle at Hog like this amount of years ago. It's crazy that you're now like a part of my journey. And it's like, dude, that's nuts. Like I was just a 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid just trying to make sure my gear fit right. I wasn't thinking about inspiring nobody. I was just trying to not mess up.
No, and that is, I feel like that's the biggest just natural progression of it all. Because we were at that point that it's like we were the ones just watching everything and being like, oh, this is amazing. Getting that, oh, this guy's inspiring me. To now it's like you see the younger generation come in and they're like, they have that same hunger that, well, not this, it's still there. But if you see it now and it's like, I was there too. That's like you
Yeah.
see that younger generation now that it's like, it's insane getting to hear that.
It's
Like,
nuts.
there you go.
Oh,
there you go. We got
that's sweet.
Kyle and
I love
Wes.
being a part of your second family, guys. I really
There you
do.
go.
Like,
You
you guys
love
are
that.
great. You guys are the best. Seriously,
There you
Kyle
go.
and Wes. Like you guys are awesome.
And see, and that's what I love too, seeing that genuine fan support. Because I feel like that's also missed a lot of times in wrestling. You don't get that just natural love anymore. A lot of times you hear everyone just want to make that quick smirk comment or something. But seeing fans
Yeah.
that actually have the genuine love for this and want to support and want to see their favorites just do what they do. That's always
Yeah.
great. So thank you to Wes and
Definitely.
Kyle for always
Yeah,
being that as well.
absolutely.
So, but let's keep it going here. And now let us go into that as well, because you talked about the Trish Adora wanting that to be a match. But is there anyone else in your radar right now that maybe it's someone that you've already competed against, that now again that you have leveled up a bit, that maybe you do want to square it up one more time?
So if I'm doing a rematch, I think
Let's go there.
I'd be lying. I'd be very much lying if I didn't say getting in the ring with Ken again. Like I said, the last time I was in the ring with Ken, I felt like there was magic, and I felt like there was something there. And the energy there was something. It was something there. And I feel like he's the Invictus Grand Champion right now. And I don't want to look past Jay Bougie, even though he talks way too much and blah blah blah. I'm not gonna disrespect the match and look past him, but I would be lying if I didn't think down the line, me and Ken for the Grand Championship. That's definitely a goal. That's definitely something I definitely want to work towards. It's interesting because the last time he beat me, of course, but then I think about it, and when I think about all the win losses and stuff, technically I have Ken's number. And that was when I was a little lucky. That was when I was barely 150 pounds. So I like to think like, hey, last time anybody could have won. He came out on top. And I'm like, hey, this time, and I never stopped leveling up, by the way. This time might be a little different. And I'm willing to play for keeps,
There you go. And no, and again, that comes I feel like every time you go in there, it is that learning experience. It is that leveling up experience there. Again, going into these next two matches, there's going to be a lot of leveling up, because now you're going into a match like this next Friday in a cheat code match, a match you haven't been a part of. So there's going to be a leveling up there, because now that's another thing to add to the experience factor. And then again, going into this, which is just the first round, by the way. That's just round one, and then you still have the rest of the tournament to go to become their grand champion there. Which it's insane when you think about, you've been a guy at We Are Wrestling that is represented. You represented them in Escape from New York just a few months ago.
No,
where I finally got to call one of your matches. I forgot to bring that up earlier.
Oh, our boy Barton, Chris Barton.
There we go.
This international star, man. Seriously, I love Barton. And I'm not even exaggerating. This dude is in Canada literally every week. This Chris Barton is the real deal, man.
Hey, you know what's even crazier? It's getting that Canadian experience, getting to do that, but then having Judy Torres actually share clips. Like,
yes,
that pops the 90s kid in me, being like, he got Judy Torres to be like, yo, he's using my song.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's pretty insane. Wild.
Oh, but definitely. So that alone, that leveling up, that's been great to see. But also, I was going to talk about that, the Escape from New York matchups and being in that. How is that for you, getting to represent We Are Wrestling and getting to be there where it was a whole new battlefield there. It was a whole new game, if you will. It was a multi-man there. It was like Super Smash with multiple teams.
Yeah, yeah.
How was that for you, getting to do that? How
Oh,
was
love
that
you
for
too,
you being
Barton.
a part of
Seriously, man.
that format there and getting to be a part of it, representing We Are Wrestling?
No, it was dope, and I mean, obviously, it's a great timing from Barton because he was one of my teammates,
He was,
and it
yeah.
was really cool to team with Rob Killjoy, Barton, and Mike Law. Like these are guys that I respect, guys that are my peers, and in the sense of like guys I look up to, guys who like when I first started breaking in, they kind of paved the way a little bit in the sense of like Law and Killjoy who've been doing this for a number of years and are very, very, very well experienced. So for me, like it was just really cool, and I have a lot of love for We Are Wrestling. Obviously, it was a part of the first show. Peter Rosato's a guy I've known for a number of years beforehand, and he was always, he always kept it straight with me, and I always appreciated that when I was trying to get booked by like another company, and he had some pull, and I'd be like, hey, what am I doing wrong? What can I do to get on? He's like, hey, and this is pre-video game. He's like, we don't know who Leroy is. You've shown me you're a good wrestler, but we don't know who Leroy is. Are you just this dorky, lovable everyman? What's going on here? He's like, we need to figure out who you are. And I take a lot of pleasure in that. Like many years later, he was like, now we know who you are. We got to get you. You have to get those matches that'll show that, but we know who you are. And I was just like, and that's really cool. And I want to work for companies that not just give me a cool match. I want to work for companies that challenge me. I want to work for places that challenge me. And that's why We Are Wrestling. Listen, I had to do it a little bit myself, where I'm like, yo, I'm calling out Dan Moff. I know y'all got him. I know you got him in the locker room. I know you got him in this tournament. Let me see him in the first round. And I think that's the only way to grow. It's the only way to level up. That's the only way to do these things. I can't level up if I'm trying to hope that, oh my gosh, I hope I get an easy opponent in the first round. Like, no, nah, that's not even fun. And listen, I'm gonna paint the picture. I'll say it right now. I know if Dan Moff shows up, listen, he might not knock my lights out. He might press me into the wall, bring back the wall for one night only. Listen, I mean, Pete,
I
I
was
hope
gonna
you
say,
have
I feel like
insurance on the
that.
venue.
I was gonna say, I feel like that school has plenty of walls, and yeah, I hope his insurance is okay for that night.
Yeah, and listen, but I've said it on Twitter a few times. I got to quote one of my favorite anime. I'm not going there to die. I'm going to find out if I'm really been alive. Like that's it. I need to figure out like, hey man, I think I'm a pretty good wrestler, but I got to figure out how good. I got to know. I got to know, can I handle it? Can I beat this game? Can I level up enough? And if I can, I can't. I'll hold that. I'll learn and I'll grow. That's literally the name of my game.
Hey, it's one of those where, again, let's not throw out the if you lose, but even if you do, it's one of those of, did you live to fight another day though? Because that's, I feel like, is the
Mm.
important thing going in there is still leveling up from it and showing, hey, it wasn't just a, oh, Danny Moff squash match. It was, no, you hung in there with a guy like Danny Moff and showed why you are big game Leroy.
I'll even take it a step further for me personally, and I'll say very personally, it's about earning the respect. That is one of the biggest motivators for me. Like, period, is that sometimes I feel like the smile, the video game, the happy-go-luckiness of it, and people forget the spirit, the fighting spirit that I have. People forget that, like, hey, I'm as motivated and driven as ever. Like, I love wrestling and games. You know what I mean? I just love doing them both. But when the switch goes down, the love for wrestling comes out, and it comes out in the form of violence.
There you go. And again, maybe that's what that needs, not the switch to click on that night. No pun intended with the actual switch being there, but yeah, just for that to finally get there. And again, I guess we'll wait and see what happens on March the 10th right there, when it will be, there can only be one who will advance in that tournament that night. But from there, now let's start winding it down a little bit here, because I don't want to take up too much more of your time here, brother. But
I appreciate it,
I,
but
I
yeah, good.
it's all good. So I do have to ask. Let's go into a little bit of video game conversation here before we go, because I have to. I have to ask. So, what is Big Game Leroy playing right now?
Okay, well, so I'm a little late to Pokemon Violet, especially because I heard some rough things about it. It was a Christmas gift. I told Game Freak I'm not giving them no more money until they start getting the games together. Pokemon Arceus was great, by the way, but yeah, no. So I've been playing a little bit of that. I just actually recently got Dead Space, and I've been having a great time with the remaster. I turned off all the lights. It's been very, very good. One of my cardinal sins of gaming is I never played Dead Space, the first one that came out in '08. And I felt like I was missing out because I heard great things about it. I love horror games. I really do. Resident Evil is like one of my favorite series growing up, and Dead Space is like another version of that. The limited ammo, you can't just shoot and gun your way out of situations. I love the whole, you don't have like a machine gun, you have like this little gun that like kind of cuts them down to pieces, so you have to be strategic. I'm really digging it, and the story seems really interesting, and the jump scares get me every time. So that's what we love, right?
Gotta love that. That's the best part of playing that horror game. You want it to be scary like that. You want it to have those jump scares. So it's like, okay, this is something here. That was the biggest thing I heard about the remaster was it's still gonna get you no matter what.
Oh yeah.
So there you go. No, I had to ask because I was like, it has to be said. What is Big Game Leroy playing? Especially you do have a PS5, you have your Switch, so I can imagine there's a variety to go through right now. So
yeah.
there's still so much to come.
Switch, I think I do have one more that I've been playing. Superstars Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. They just put the Game Boy Advance expansion on the Nintendo Switch, and that has also been taking up a lot of my time. Loki, I beat that game a million years ago when I was like 8 years old, but like it still holds up. The writing, the humor. There was a clip, and I think I just threw it on Twitter, and I was like, indie wrestling promos, and it was just Princess Peach when she starts doing the bomb dialogue and everything explodes, and I'm just like, yep, that's every indie wrestling promo where they're just like mother beeper, boop 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 boop, just cursing a storm, and
just fireworks cursing in the background edited.
Yeah, you're just like, but what did he actually say though? I have no clue what he actually said.
Oh, there you go. But no, there you go. No, but that's the gaming right there. I had to get it in somehow because just to make sure people know what you're playing and what to look out for, especially when it comes to a lot of games are coming out this time frame right now. Like we're weeks away from the new 2K dropping. So we get 2K23. The ratings, I believe, just came out earlier, at least 50 of them. The full roster ratings.
Yeah. Sami Zayn, they got to fix Sami Zayn's rating. Like, hashtag Sami Zayn rated too low. I don't know what's going on. How is he at 82?
Yeah.
How is he at 82? Like, he just wrestled Roman and almost beat him for the title.
I thought if anything, he would be the one to have a higher rating just because that whole bloodline storyline has been amazing. Seeing the crowd reaction, I'm like, his rating should at least be a little higher. Ezekiel's at an 85, but Sami Zayn's at an 82.
That's some bull, man. That's just some bull. Like, that's wild.
But and then I saw earlier they haven't even announced what Roman's rating is, but The Rock's at a 96. So I'm like, are they just making Roman a steady?
I think they might 100? Make him a 96. I wouldn't be too surprised if they gave him a 97. So my little bit of like video game lore has always been like, the highest, I believe, I might be wrong, but I'm betting I'm right. One of the highest ratings of a wrestler ever in a SmackDown vs. Raw or 2K game or WWE game, at least in the more modern games that we're talking about, correct? John Cena had a 97 in SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. And I don't think there's been anything higher. Obviously, you can mod and you can add, but like in terms of
I was gonna say, I feel like everyone just like, no,
yeah,
I'm putting my guy all the way to 100.
But like in terms of 2K going, oh, this is how we want the rankings.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, Roman Reigns, the guy who's held the title for like 2 years, is he going to have a 98 or 99?
I feel like at this point they're just gonna cheat it and just make him 100. Just make him.
They might as well. I mean, listen, the man ain't gotten pinned in like 5 years. Like, it's kind of nuts. Like
that's something just to be like, oh. But again, I guess we'll wait and see how that goes. Again, we're only, I believe, again, like a few weeks away. Mm-hmm. If you pre-order, I think it comes out legit that week of that We Are Wrestling show. So go to the show, then get 2K on afterward, recreate the matches, folks. Yeah. But go to the show. Go show support.
That's the wave. That's the wave. So, I'm trying to play as myself created by the end of the weekend, you know.
Hey, that's usually what I do. I make most of my friends, so your custom will be made by the end of the weekend. But
I'll be looking forward to
it. Before I let you go, I now have to ask the last question to ask everyone that comes on, and that is for Big Game Leroy, what is the end goal?
The end goal has always been to share my game with as many people as possible, to make as much people feel as much as I feel when I watch wrestling, and I love it. You know, I want people to feel that love, and also just love it as much as I do. When I first started wrestling, I was always like, I want people to know how cool I think wrestling is. And as you get older and you're a little bit more sophisticated and nuanced in your thoughts, it becomes uh a little bit more direct. It gets a little bit more like, oh no, this is exactly what I'm going for. I'm like, I want people like to recognize wrestling as this high level art form of storytelling, of emotions and stuff like that. And I think it shows in my work. You know, I'm very character oriented. I'm very story driven. I'm more very much like focused on like, hey, you're gonna see Big Game Leroy. He's gonna play a video game. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be awesome. Gonna do a Hurricane Rana with no hands, literally playing a video game. But what happens when I call my shot against Dan Moff and I'm trying to demon souls my way to a championship? What about if I'm wrestling this loudmouth NPC type character like Jay Bougie in a cheat code match? What kind of cheat codes am I gonna pull out of my game? You know, you never know. What kind of weapons am I gonna bring? What exactly does a big game Leroy cheat code look like? And that is the fun I have in doing all of this. You know, it's completely different stories, still me, and you know, I'll tell anybody who's got thoughts on maybe not showing up to either show. Listen, in the Bronx, New York City, people talk about our scene, and I promise you, our scene is still in good hands. New York City is still in good hands, man. And I'll be damned if I let anybody say, "Oh, the scene is here." Like, listen, I'm about to wrestle Dan Moff, the king of the scene, for the last pretty much 20 years. So listen, like, I'm gonna die trying to make sure people put some respect on our scene today and put respect on the wrestlers going out doing it the right way. Because damn it, that's what I think I am.
There you go. And no, definitely, this stuff. I feel like it's especially nowadays. NYC wrestling is thriving right now. It's growing. You're getting to see that era of almost when a lot of us were breaking in. That was almost in that just hot fire spot. It's getting back to that again. Especially post pandemic, it's gotten
Mhm.
insane better right now. It's getting insane just seeing how many people are available, how many shows are going on. It's one of those now that it's like you can't see a weekend clear anymore in New York. There's always some
Yeah,
show going on. So
yeah,
definitely
no,
go
it's
support your
awesome.
local independent wrestling. Go to these two shows. Again, especially if you're in the Bronx area, go out to the Bronx Brewery next Friday for Invictus for this cheat code match. See Big Game Leroy kick Jay Bougie's ass right there. And then the
Absolutely.
following week, there can only be one. We Are Wrestling. Like I said, next week, Pete will be coming on to talk all things. We'll go down the whole card there. We'll hear his thoughts on your comments toward Dan Moff. But go see that. Dan Moff versus Big Game Leroy tournament matchup there. See if Big Game Leroy can conquer the final boss in just the beginning of the tournament right there. That's a final boss fight just to start it right there. But Big Game Leroy, thank you so much for joining me, brother. And to
Thank
everyone
you for
watching,
having
thank you
me.
so much. Don't forget, go follow Big Game Leroy as well. All of his social medias, his Instagram right there, his Twitter right there. Links will be in the description down below. So go support him, follow him to see where he'll be next. Because again, his schedule is always just, it's flying, guys. But thank you so much. As always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft, and we'll see you guys on the next one.